Christmas dinner at my parents' house always followed the same script. Too many dishes crowded onto a table that was slightly too small. My mother worrying about the roast as if it were a fragile science experiment. My father pouring wine a little too generously by the second round. Conversations layered over each other until the room hummed with the familiar noise of people who had known each other too long to choose their words carefully. It was our daughter's first Christmas. She was only 8 months old and fascinated by everything: lights, voices, the shiny edges of spoons. I held her most of the evening because the room was loud and crowded. And babies at that age seemed to sense when too many people wanted to touch them at once. My sister Dana sat across from me. Dana had always been the loudest person in any room. The kind of person relatives described with a laugh and a shrug. That's just Dana. Growing up, that sentence explained everything. If she mocked you, you were supposed to take the joke. If she crossed a line, you were supposed to let it slide. Family peace had always depended on someone absorbing the impact. That someone had often been me. Our daughter began fussing halfway through dinner. Not screaming, just the restless little sounds babies make when they're tired and overstimulated. I bounced her lightly against my shoulder and whispered to her. Dana rolled her eyes. "She's going to turn into one of those kids who runs the house," she said. Cutting into her food, I ignored it. People said strange things around babies. The fussing continued. My daughter reached for a glass she couldn't have. I gently moved her hand away. Dana leaned forward, irritation written plainly across her face. "Seriously," she said, "you need to stop babying her." Before I fully understood what she meant, her hand moved. It wasn't a full force hit, but it was sharp and fast. A flat slap against my daughter's leg meant to startle her. The sound cracked across the table. For a second, my brain refused to process what I had seen. Then my daughter inhaled and began crying loud, confused, terrified in the way babies are when the world suddenly feels wrong. The room went quiet. Not shocked quiet, the other kind. The kind where people wait to see how serious something will become. "What the hell?" I said, pulling my daughter closer. Dana waved her hand like she had brushed away a crumb. "Oh my God," she said. "Relax. She's a baby." I said, my voice was shaking now. "You don't hit a baby." I tapped her," Dana said. "You're acting like I assaulted someone." A few nervous chuckles floated around the table. My uncle cleared his throat. "Kids cry," he said. "It's nothing." My mother gave me the look she'd used my entire life. The quiet warning. "Don't turn this into a scene." Dana leaned back in her chair, smirking. "You're overreacting," she said. For a moment, I felt something old and familiar pressing down on me. That same family gravity that had always pushed arguments back into silence. Don't escalate. Don't embarrass anyone. Just let it go. My daughter kept crying against my shoulder. Across the table, my husband hadn't spoken. Daniel rarely said much at family gatherings. He respected that it was my family, my space. In his own life, he carried authority easily. Years in the military had made calm control second nature. But in my parents' dining room, he usually let the family dynamic run its course. But he had been watching the slap, watching the excuses, watching the way the conversation had already begun to turn me into the problem. Dana laughed again. "Seriously," she said. "It was nothing." Daniel's chair moved. The sound of it sliding back across the floor cut through the room like a blade. He stood up slowly, not angry, not loud, just completely certain. The conversation died immediately. Daniel looked directly at Dana. There was no speech, no raised voice, just 3 words delivered in the calm tone of someone used to being obeyed. "Jet out!" Dana blinked. She looked around the table, expecting anyone to challenge him. No one did. When Daniel spoke like that, there was something final about it. Years of command had shaped the way he occupied a room. People felt it even if they didn't understand why. Dana scoffed. "You're kidding, right?" Daniel didn't move. "Get out!" The silence that followed was heavier than the first one. My father stared at the table. My mother suddenly became very interested in the serving dishes. Dana pushed her chair back with a loud scrape. "This family is unbelievable," she snapped, grabbing her coat. "You're all letting her act like a psycho over nothing." No one stopped her. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the hallway frame. Dinner never really resumed after that. People picked at their food. Conversations restarted in careful, shallow fragments. Someone quietly brought me a napkin for the baby. Daniel sat back down beside me like nothing dramatic had happened. He didn't ask if I was okay. He just placed his hand lightly on my back while our daughter slowly calmed against my shoulder. Weeks passed. Dana never apologized. At first, the family tried to smooth things over, messages about misunderstandings, about how the holidays had been stressful. But she never came back to gatherings. Not that winter. Not the next. Years have passed now. My daughter doesn't remember that Christmas dinner. She grew up surrounded by people who understood something very clearly about our house. There are lines you don't cross with a child. And if you do, the silence that used to protect you won't exist anymore. Breaking that silence cost us a relationship. But it also changed something else in the family. For the first time in my life, the rule about keeping the peace wasn't stronger than protecting someone small. And once that line had been drawn, no one tried to erase it again.